Sorry to interrupt. Can we ask you 23 questions?
Sure. Hi, I'm Keerthana Subramanian. I'm a scientist in the downstream process development group here at Forge Biologics.
Let's jump right in. What is a critical part of downstream processing?
Forge Biologics is leading the industry in developing anion exchange chromatography and affinity chromatography.
What are some of the benefits of Forge's affinity chromatography platform?
It streamlines the development and production timelines for our AAV gene therapy products, which essentially means that we can help our clients get to their milestones that much faster.
How does Forge streamline its platform process?
Data drives our decision here at Forge, so for specific unit operations, when we look into optimizing or developing it, we either leverage historical data or we generate new data to support the streamlining.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, let's take affinity chromatography for example. We have a buffer matrix that can be implemented for this step across resin types and across serotypes. So that really becomes a platform process. Of course, we can do further serotype-specific development if needed.
We like to toss in a couple fun questions. Which superpower would you like to have?
Teleportation. The idea of having my morning coffee in Italy, still making it back to my 9 a.m. meeting sounds very exciting. Speaking of, would you like some coffee?
Sure. Wow, look at that view. So, in affinity chromatography development, can we use novel serotypes?
Yes, absolutely. We've worked with many serotypes here, including the novel ones. Because of the team's vast experience, we have a wide range of knowledge across the board.
What are the key advantages of the purification process?
It is agnostic to all serotypes except maybe affinity chromatography because the resin type may change.
How does the purification process contribute to meeting the growing demand for AAV?
Great question. As we all know, the AAV gene therapy market is fast growing, because of which our clients have incredibly tight timelines to meet their milestones. Forge's platform purification processes helps a client with just that, producing material quickly to meet their milestones.
Personal question, what's on your phone background?
It is my sister and I celebrating maybe her second or third birthday. Oh, look at the time. I'm just finishing up an experimental lab. See you there in 15 minutes?
Sounds great.
Oh, hey, welcome to the Downstream Lab. My favorite place to be here at Forge Biologics.
Can you show me some of the features?
Yeah, so what we see here is a bunch of Acta Avants. On the other aisle, we have a lot of Acta Pures. And on this side of the aisle, we have the Acta Pilot that supports our large-scale manufacturing in the lab space.
Tell us more about the single-use chromatography systems.
Yes, single-use chromatography systems are great because it supports close processing and it reduces any sort of contamination levels that could occur in manufacturing. Here at Forge, we have the Repligen's Artisan system and Cytiva's Acta Ready 450S systems that support closed manufacturing process at different scales.
Which actress would play you in a movie about your life?
I think it would be Simone Ashley. She plays Kate Sharma in season 2 of Bridgerton, but I don't know if she has time to learn about AAV purification.
How does affinity chromatography impact an empty-full ratio?
Affinity chromatography does not impact empty-full ratio.
How do you manage the challenges related to AAV stability in large-scale affinity chromatography?
So we try to eliminate any sort of hold time prior to affinity chromatography to ensure stability. What this means and how we do it is by having a continuous processing. There is no break in between or before affinity chromatography. Should there be a hold time prior to this step, we will obviously generate a lot of data to support it. We are also looking at different techniques to reducing processing times for affinity chromatography that would eliminate any need for any hold times.
Can you explain the concept of resin binding capacity?
Yeah, so resin binding capacity is essentially the total amount of viral vector we can load onto a resin before we observe any unbound vector in the flow. This is perhaps the first thing we tackle when it comes to developing this step, because underloading and overloading a column can have a detrimental effect to the performance of this step.
What are other important factors?
There are many important factors. Some examples are residence time, elution buffer pH, elution buffer matrix, adding any stabilizers to the buffer system, the list goes on. I am just about wrapped up in lab. I'll see you in the library. It's a better place to chat.
Great plan. Serious question. If you could eat only one food the rest of your life, which one?
This is easy. It would be my mom's idlis, which is like a rice pancake, and her chutneys, which is like a dip.
You'll have to bring some to share. Can you talk about automated affinity chromatography methods?
Yes, I'm a big fan of automated affinity chromatography methods because it ensures consistency between the runs by removing any sort of operator variability. At Forge Biologics, we have templates for chromatography methods across different scales, so regardless of who the operator is, the runs are executed the exact same way.
What are your insights into impurity removal?
So one of the goals of downstream processing is to ensure clearance of product and process-related impurities. So for example, in affinity chromatography, we focus on the removal of host cell protein. And in the enrichment step, we focus on the removal of empty capsids.
Which TV show always makes you laugh?
It would be Gilmore Girls. I think I'm watching it for the 7th time now. I'm Team Jess. What about you?
I'm supposed to ask the questions. Also, Team Jess. What considerations go into developing effective wash step conditions?
So the goal of the wash step is to reduce contaminant levels and reduce elution precipitation. It is one of the key steps in affinity chromatography. So when we go and focus into developing a wash step, we look at the critical process parameters like buffer matrix and salt conditions, and we evaluate and try to understand the impact that it has on the overall performance of the step.
You moved from Boston to Columbus. Do you like it here?
I love it here. Columbus has become my home, and I think all of you should come visit Forge Biologics. Actually, let me show you.